Hey folks, thanks so much for checking into the Neutral Zone Hotel. We are an unapologetically left-leaning podcast that explores hockey at its best and worst. My name is Benjamin. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a Montreal Canadiens and Ottawa Charge fan. And yeah, we'll talk about that in a little bit. And I'm joined by a few of my co-workers here, starting with Trevor.
Hi, everybody. My name is Trevor. My pronouns are he, him. I am a fan of the Vancouver Canucks, unfortunately, and a fan of the PWHL's newest villains, the Vancouver Golden Eyes.
I wouldn't go that far.
Detroit wants a word.
They're on the list of villains for sure.
I wouldn't go so far as call them a villain. We've also got Madison here.
Hi, I'm Madison. My pronouns are she, they, and I am a fan of the University of Denver hockey and the Minnesota Frost, which I can say proudly now.
There you go. And we've also got Emily.
What's up? I'm Emily. They, she. I'm a fan of the Colorado Avalanche, Buffalo Sabres, and still letting my heart guide me on who I'm cheering for in the PWHL next season.
Fair enough.
Okay, so you want us to send you free merch. I understand. We got to bribe you.
Yes, now accepting bribes.
All right, well, we will talk about the PWHL expansion process, which is currently well underway. And we are also going to talk about the Edmonton Oilers coach hiring process. But breaking late, there was some very big news that I want to bring to this group's attention and to get some live reactions. I think some have already seen this, but the most important award in the NHL was given out today. The Mark Messier Leadership Award handed out to Colorado Avalanche captain Gabriel Landeskog.
Okay.
As we know, the most important award, the most prestigious award, not just in all of hockey, not just in all of sports, but in the whole of human history.
That's right.
Can't argue with that.
I believe the order goes from third most honorable to the top one. It's an honor by a major organization like the United Nations, the Nobel Peace Prize, and then on top of that, the Mark Messier Leadership Award.
Absolutely.
Isn't it sponsored by Bridgestone?
It was, but I don't know if it still is.
That might have just been a bubble year thing, but I don't remember for sure.
Free tires for Gabe Landeskog.
Because I was going to say, in hindsight, wouldn't Lay's potato chips be a much better sponsor for a Mark Messier Award?
That's right.
Sorry, y'all can't see it. Benjamin just looking off to the side. He's remembering all those commercials from back in the day, too.
I actually just watched some the other day, and it's on forcing people to watch old hockey commercials is a potential off-season activity.
That sounds delightful. I'm so in.
Landeskog, of course, also won the Masterton, which very well earned for coming back and having a pretty good season after the amount of surgery, rehabilitation he went through.
The fact that he played is like a miracle in itself.
Yeah.
And played well.
Yeah, he had a pretty good year. He'll never be the player he was, but...
he also hit the wrong side of 30 in his time off rehabbing, so,
Yep, very true. Very true.
Still beautiful, though.
I mean, yeah. There's not much else to say. Swedish people, am I right?
And with that...
we broke them.
So we do want to talk about the Edmonton Oilers coaching hire. So the Oilers let go Chris Knobloch after they bombed out of the postseason. and made it pretty clear they were entering an aggressive coaching replacement process. The Oilers were one of the teams who asked for permission to speak with Bruce Cassidy and have since been denied by the Golden Knights. By all accounts, the Golden Knights are continuing to deny suitors a chance to speak with Cassidy, and it seems the Oilers have decided to move in another direction. So it was reported by Darren Dreger and later confirmed by a few other sources that the Oilers are advancing towards hiring Mike Babcock, former coach of the Ducks, former coach of the Detroit Red Wings, the Toronto Maple Leafs, and most famously, the Columbus Blue Jackets. So the reason we're saying advancing towards is because they have checked in with the NHLPA to see if the PA has any problems with the Oilers hiring Babcock.
Which they should.
Yeah, famously a good sign when you have to go check with the Players Association to see if you're even allowed to hire a guy. Good choice.
Critically, it has been leaked that the Oilers player leadership group is comfortable with bringing in Babcock.
Ugh.
Oh, brother.
Which is wild given that all of the issues with Babcock are from mistreating players, from just like straight up emotionally abusing players. And
yeah,
Oilers leadership thinks that that's going to be effective.
Evidently, they just need someone else to be in the locker room yelling to lock the F in, like we saw, what was it, in the behind the scenes a couple of years ago. Can't be just McDavid yelling it. He needs someone else. He needs to save his poor vocal cords.
It made sense when it was McDavid because, like, you get where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Babcock's going to do that when it's not a do or die game. Like, he's just gonna yell for fun because he's a piece of shit.
He'll have a sadistic grin on his face the whole time, cackling in his office, pulling someone in to look at their phone.
Yeah, what does Draisaitl have on his phone?
Oh, and then don't forget asking like Ike Howard to rank the effort level of every member of the team. The laundry list of asinine things that Mike Babcock has done grows ever longer, and I'm curious to see whether he pulls a new one out of the hat or if he goes back to an old reliable. Actually, no, that's I'm not intrigued because I don't want him to be a coaching. That's the smarter answer. Let's go with that.
There are sources from around the league that suggest that this is pretty much inevitable. It sounds like the PA is not going to oppose this as long as the leadership group is on board. I think it is very worth noting that the leadership group is the group most likely to be insulated from Mike Babcock's nonsense. Historically, Babcock has used his power to humiliate, upset, and bully fringe players. And that could be rookies. That could be older players who are starting to get to the end of their career. That could be journeymen who've just come in or are on the way out. Players who have talked directly about him include current TSN broadcaster Frankie Corrado, who has straight up said Mike Babcock gave him panic attacks and caused him to throw up before games. It includes current Conn Smythe frontrunner Mitch Marner, who described as a young player situation where Babcock asked him to rank all of the players on the team by effort and then read that ranking out, attributing it to Mitch. He has been, and of course, most famously, Johan Franzen on the Detroit Red Wings basically gave him PTSD and ruined his career. And Franzen has continued to speak out in both English and Swedish language media about his treatment. And it's not just, in this case, not just him, backed up by Chris Chelios, who straight up said it was one of the worst things he'd ever seen in the league, which I think says something when you consider this league.
Yeah, and I mean, Chelios is like a 200 hockey men guy. This is not a guy who would stick his neck out for something that was like mildly uncomfortable.
No. We know that the players he targeted in his short stint with the Blue Jackets were exactly that, a rookie and an aging veteran. And he very, very quickly went back to this. He has been interviewed since that happened and shown zero remorse. It seems likely that what's going to end up happening is they will bring him in and he will say the right things to people like Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl. And then whatever fringe level characters Stan Bowman brings in to try to plug the gaping holes, it seems likely that Babcock will begin terrorizing them. And like when it happens again, what are you going to do? Right?
How many times can we cry wolf at this man?
Yeah. Everywhere he's gone, it's been the same way. Everywhere he's gone. There is zero faith in believing it's going to go the other way.
Also, I feel like it's worth noting that he has not been particularly successful as a coach recently.
Yes.
It's not even like they're sticking their neck out to take this asshole of a coach who also happens to have won 3 Stanley Cups in the last 10 years. He's not good. And he's an asshole.
Like, it wasn't surprising that people wanted Coach Q back. Like, I think it sucks. I think that it sucks that people aren't talking about it more and are just praising him. But, like, that felt unfortunately inevitable as soon as they said he was allowed to coach again. Babcock, it's just like, I don't even understand the logic that makes you think he would be worth hiring on top of, like, obviously he's done terrible things and shouldn't be hired based on that alone. But it's just baffling.
He rode the coattails of a prime Nicholas Lidstrom to a Stanley Cup and then the greatest Canadian hockey team ever assembled twice. Like, he's had everything handed to him on a silver platter. And as soon as you take that silver platter and tarnish it a little bit, it just crumbles, turns to dust.
He came very close to winning a Stanley Cup in 2003 with the Ducks, but that was a Ducks roster that was not particularly good playing in the pre-lockout era where they had a goalie go supernova, and they had Paul Kariya do everything he could to pull that team over the hump, right? Like, I don't know how much of telling J.S. Giguère to get more saves is something that's repeatable in Edmonton. I mean, I can't prove they haven't tried telling the goalies to be better based on their performance the last few years. But
yeah, and also does like that 2003 team also had a bit of an easy run to the final because like they upset Detroit, sure, but also when Colorado and Vancouver, who I believe were the 2 and 3 seeds that year, got ousted by a lowly upstart Minnesota Wild team.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that you earned your finals berth.
Yep, no. At the end of the day, he took a very, very good Detroit team that was still kind of post-super team, in that era, took it to 2 finals, won a cup, and then I don't think he's been out of the first round since. So I would say if taken as a coach, he's probably fine. He's probably from that aspect, from the on ice perspective, he's probably a fine enough coach equivalent to any other hire like Peter Laviolette getting the job in LA. Sure, Peter Laviolette won a cup in 2006 and he's gone to the finals a couple times and hasn't done much else. He's roughly similar to that. But as far as we know, Peter Laviolette never gave a player PTSD. He never made a player puke before a game out of how nervous he was just to deal with them. He never fucked with a player so bad he cried. He never, disrespected people and tore their names off of the lockers, yelled at them. He never made the staff rate every player on the team by how good they were and then shared that with the team. You know, like, he didn't do any of these things. As far as we know, Peter Laviolette's a perfectly nice guy. Mike Babcock is a steaming pile of shit as a person, and he's about as good a coach as a Peter Laviolette, a guy who was available up until 24 hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And it feels, honestly, it feels like they're giving him this slot just because I almost want to say they asked Connor McDavid, who do you think would be a good coach? He went, I don't know, Mike Babcock.
The worst part is I think you're more than likely bang on, and it just hurts my head to think that a player would actually think that.
It's also interesting because McDavid is friends with Mitch Marner. You'd think he would have heard about Mitch's experience with Babcock and been like, yeah, maybe not this guy.
I think maybe Connor McDavid just thinks that what's missing from the Oilers is emotional warfare and mental torture. That's the only thing I can think of.
They live in Edmonton. There's enough of that. Sorry.
There's a lot of suggestion in the Edmonton media that Knobloch was too much of a player's coach. So if and you know what, maybe Knobloch lost the room and he wasn't firm enough with them. That's possible. I'm not going to rule that out, but like you can say someone's not disciplining the kids properly, and you can fix that without hiring Heinrich Himmler, right?
Exactly.
Like,
yeah,
that's, you know, basically Mike Babcock is the nuclear option on that, and they went immediately to it. You know what? They could win a Stanley Cup under Mike Babcock. It's possible because they still have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl and Evan Bouchard and all these great players. But I don't ever believe they will win a Stanley Cup because of Mike Babcock.
I can confidently say that won't happen.
I think they should have held out for Bruce Cassidy. Yeah, I don't. I will be surprised if he's still the coach in 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
But Katz loves to hire these reclamation projects. Maybe he gets a discount on them. I don't know.
Oh, I can't imagine they're paying him a lot of money. If they are, they're stupid.
No kidding. I mean, he's still probably like living off of that. What was he getting paid in Toronto? $5.5 million a season?
He was the highest paid coach ever when they brought him in.
He should be paid maybe $50K a year.
Yeah.
Like,
and I'm just gonna say, I think it's possible that he's learned from all these mistakes. I mean, I have to include the possibility, and maybe he's perfectly genial and he's tough on the ice without being tough to the person. Maybe he's learned, but he hasn't shown any signs of it. He certainly said some of those things about. He kind of made, before the Columbus hire, he made a few, I'm a better coach now, sort of thing, and then he wasn't.
mm-hmm.
Right? Like, I'll say this for Quenneville. I don't think Quenneville actually did as much of the work as people want to give him credit for, but I think he actually did something.
Mm-hmm.
And he at least did a little bit of lip service in that direction. That's not enough. But I don't think Babcock even did that. Like, he, based on his interviews, he has not done any level of self-reflection, even cursory. So I have it in my heart. If he was a guy who actually sat down and learned and came back and did some apologies, sure, why not? Maybe he'd be a good coach, and maybe that would help you be a better coach. But this guy seems like he's a steaming asshole, and I don't think it's going to change.
No.
I do want to push back just a tiny bit on that, because like I firmly believe that people can always become a better person, and I hope that they do. But I think if you do something so horrifically bad at this level, I don't think any amount of apologizing should get you back to that level. Like, I think you have the right to become a better person and have a better life, but I don't think that gives you the right to be a National Hockey League coach right off the bat again.
Ultimately, it's a fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. And we're up to fool me 4 or 5 times now. Like, how often do we need to keep doing this?
Yeah. That's it for me. Like, these behaviors became a problem publicly in Detroit. Right. And he had 2 kicks of the can after that and they didn't change. So I agree. It's not like one thing happened and he went, oops, I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm.
A bunch of things happened and he's like, that never really happened. That's not really a problem. Like there are differences here. All right. Well, I guess we agree. Don't hire Mike Babcock, but sadly, by the time this episode is dropped, they probably will have.
Well, to any Oilers fans, there are 31 other markets who probably have fan openings available if you're ready to jump ship. And I would not blame you in the slightest for wanting to do so. Actually, there's also 12 openings in the Women's Hockey League, too. You could probably go join those with fan bases. You'll have a much better time.
It is really funny that even Frank Saravalli is against this.
Yeah,
that's the guy I would have.
Wow.
He carried so much water for Quinn Willem Bowman
And Cash Patel.
Wow.
Like, sorry. I just, what it takes to make that man be like, this is a bad idea is, yeah, that's a lot.
I've seen so many photos of Cash Patel in the last week, and I don't know. I just need to stop seeing him, and yet he keeps showing up everywhere.
I didn't mean to make this a thing. I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's all good. It's all good. Freaking PK. Benjamin, you found some ketamine over there?
My Cash Patel impression is opening my eyes as wide as possible, making a little O with my mouth, and then just kind of vibrating out of fear.
Yeah, looking very confused and scared. It's a shame this isn't a visual media.
He's history's most overwhelmed man. He has no idea what to do at any point in his life. It's incredible. If he wasn't such a horrible person, I would find him pitiable.
Yeah.
So we're going to move on and talk about the PWHL expansion process. So for those who have not been paying attention, this is a multi-step process. We have just finished step 2 of 5. During this process, and I'm not going to get into the rules exactly, but step 1.
Neither is the league.
I was going to say, like, can you get into the rules when they keep changing?
Well, I don't know. Well, the rules have changed in at least one aspect, but in step 1, existing teams are allowed to re-sign and protect players. Stage 2, the expansion franchises would sign up to 5, they had to sign 5 players. They could offer them certain types of contracts, or if they could sign them just regular contracts. Phase 3, regular existing teams will re-sign and protect 3 additional players. They may sign any player from around the league. Expansion teams can sign as well. And then phase 4, expansion teams sign up to 10 players. They can sign, again, any unprotected player. Phase 5 is a final free agency check for teams to fill out the roster before the draft.
Mm-hmm.
So stage 2 is the longest, but the first thing that happened in stage 1, almost as soon as we got into it, the rules were clear. Teams would be allowed to submit a name of a bunch of 10 players they wanted to negotiate with. Any team could negotiate with any player on that list. It very quickly went out the window as the head of the PWHPA announced that actually teams could talk to any unrestricted free agent. So an immediate rule change. And it's not like a major issue. I just thought it was funny.
Oh, yeah, it was.
It's not like a great, it was funny in that I was like, everyone was talking about how confusing these rules were, and then for it to like instantly be like, oh, we're gonna change them was just really funny. Like anyone who spent time trying to figure it out, it's like, oh, okay, maybe I shouldn't have done that. but also just like not the best look for the league to change it like after the fact. Like if they'd said it and been like, but like the way that it just kind of like happened that way was not ideal.
The league released a 14-page PDF detailing all the rules and restrictions for all the different phases, and then immediately within a day said, oh, by the way, we're playing whose line is it anyway, because everything is made up and the points don't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, kind of.
And don't get me wrong, I love me some whose line is it anyway. I had fun with this expansion phase, but holy smokes, was it a nightmare sometimes trying to figure out what was allowed and what wasn't.
Exactly.
Don't worry, we've got 3 more phases to get through where they might change it up on us.
Oh boy, yippee-ki-yay.
How to know what to expect. There's twists at every corner.
Certainly the arcane nature of the rules has played some challenges with even with the media members straight up reporting wrong things. I think my favorite piece is that there's a very important rule, which is that players for whom rights are held are not treated as unsigned players, but are treated as signed players during the expansion process, which is to say they can be signed following the rules for signed players if they're not protected, and is to say that they can't be signed when unsigned players are, etc. But that's not in the 14-page PDF. They just put that on the website.
Oh, cool. Sure.
So
Okay.
it's just, to me, it's a tiny bit Mickey Mouse.
Mhm.
And by a tiny
A
bit,
little bit, yeah.
I mean a huge amount.
Yeah.
So when it came out that the rules had immediately changed, I think that set the appropriate tone for what was going to happen. And that tone is yakety sax.
Yeah. Yeah, it kind of is.
Yeah. It's like, I love this league so much, but just figure it out.
It's like I saw someone say that this league just like stumbles into success over and over again, and I think the leadership really benefits from having an excellent sport and amazing players, because sometimes they do things that you're just like, oh.
Yeah, they've just got an audience base that's so desperate for this league that we're all like, sure, nothing in this expansion makes sense, but that's fine. We still love it.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll get into the next controversy, which is, I think, a little bit more of a normal controversy. And that is, it has turned out that Ottawa Charge captain Brianne Jenner not only did not re-sign with Ottawa, choosing to sign with Hamilton, but in fact was never tendered a contract offer by the Charge leadership. So not the first captain to move in the PWHL. Certainly the first time a captain has gone on record saying things like, it was clear, the organization made it clear that we were not going to have a path forward and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in this case, it is the year after that particular player was nominated for Forward of the Year. It is immediately after that player was nominated for Forward of the Year. So I think this was definitely a little bit of a shocking development, especially to Charge fans. And I also think a strong indication of some of the shenanigans that were about to come in terms of signings.
Mm-hmm. For me, from an outsider looking in perspective, it was obviously very intriguing to see that happen. But I can only imagine that this is Ottawa wanting to go in a younger direction, because Brianne Jenner is not getting any younger. And by that, I mean she's one of 6 players in this league who are older than I am. So she's part of a very select club. And obviously she had a breakout year. She had an incredible season by all standards. So did Rebecca Leslie, who they were stapled together. So I really feel like this is Ottawa wanting to put all their chips behind Rebecca Leslie and saying, Brianne, you didn't make Rebecca. Rebecca made you this year, and we're going to just hope and pray that we're right.
Yeah. That's not what the underlying say at all.
I mean, yeah, but that's analytics. No one pays attention to those in head offices.
I am.
Why don't you watch the games instead of the spreadsheet?
I think ultimately, from a fan base perspective, when they're certainly considering moving to a new arena, I think this hurts the team's brand. I think it'll be fine long term, but I don't know. It hurts. And then seeing assistant captain Emily Clark leave, Jocelyn LaRocque, the other assistant captain, is 38 years old. But so I believe they are currently wheeling her into a nursing home. That's what happens to players at 38.
Sounds right.
She looked like she could have used it a couple times last year.
She had some rough goes. She had an okay playoff.
As a Charge fan, Benjamin, what do you think? Like, who do you see being a part of the Chargers leadership group then going into next season?
Well, fuck knows, man.
I mean, you might have speculation. I don't know.
It depends on if they bring LaRocque back. If she comes back, they'll probably give her the seat. If not, they will likely go to a younger player they expect to be around for a long time. So Rania Savalainen or Rebecca Leslie.
It's just always sad when teams part ways unceremoniously with their captains, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think there is. At the end of the day, I think a lot of Charge players or a lot of Charge fans were expecting certain players to move. But I think they legitimately expected Jenner to resign, and they would have been fine if it was 1 year, right? And that's the thing I think that stings here is it sounds like Jenner would have taken whatever deal they put on the table just to stay in Ottawa, and then they just didn't put a deal on the table. They probably could have found something that worked, that respected the fact that she's aging and unlikely to have as productive a year, but they didn't try. So to me, it's a mercenary GM being extremely cold, making his decision. That's his right, but I don't know. Yeah. Put a bad taste in a lot of mouths. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
Leo doesn't like it.
Thank you, Leo.
Yeah. It seems like they even could have had sort of a discussion that says, "Hey, phase 1, we're not going to be able to make anything work with you, but know that we want to keep you around, whatever." You know. Yeah, it sucks.
This is one of the reasons it's important to note that you are allowed to talk to anyone on an expiring contract, because that meant that Mike could have talked to her then and could have straight up worked these details out in advance. We know this is true because this is what happened with other players. We'll get to that later. But yeah, the third controversy here, PWHL Detroit, after signing Daryl Watts with their expansion franchise offer, then tendered a 3-year contract to the Minnesota Frost's Britta Curl.
Yay, she's gone. For me. Boo for, the league in Detroit, but yay for me personally.
There is a lot of blowback online from erstwhile Detroit fans. This one's tough.
Yeah, I saw people saying that they had put down season ticket deposits and they weren't going to bother actually getting their tickets because they were so upset about that signing.
Mm-hmm. I did specifically speak to someone who has a Detroit deposit and wondering how she was thinking about it, and she was sorely tempted to just say screw it and not go for it before ultimately saying no, I'll still probably do it, but I'm just going to wear a whole lot of trans pride gear and make sure to still boo her. So, we respect that.
No one ever stopped booing her.
It was a tumultuous time in Detroit, and I don't blame him in the slightest. Yeah, what a gut punch. You get yourself a team, you get probably the top free agent available, you get 2 other great players, and then you got that.
It was a wild ride for Detroit. They started off so strong.
Mm-hmm.
And they honestly are still looking like they're going to be a good team on the ice based on their other signings.
We'll put a pin in that. I've heard that before from about expansion teams in this league. But I know that the GM and those players had a media call today. I haven't really heard anything about it, but I do know specifically that media asked General Manager Manon Rayom about the blowback of the Curl signing. So I'm intrigued to see what she says. I'm expecting it to be, the usual jargon and a safe answer. But maybe I'll be surprised. Who knows?
So when Curl spoke to the media, she talked, I'm quoting from Ian Kennedy here, she talked about seeing people eye to eye as humans.
Okay.
Which would be a good step forward, Britta. You should try that. But she also acknowledged it's not, quote, it's not easy drafting me, end quote.
Well, at least she acknowledges
maybe you
that.
could change that.
Yeah.
Whose fault is that?
She wasn't drafted. She signed a deal, but yeah. I think for me, at the end of the day, the biggest problem I have with Curl is how disingenuous she is about the whole thing. Because she'll stand up and she'll say things like, I want to see people eye to eye as humans. And she'll put out these little apology, or not apologies, I should say. And, she'll rely back on her faith, and then she'll turn around and sign with a women's advocacy group, women's in air quotes,
heavy quotes,
for those who heavy quotes, yeah. Trying to define gender and sex as the same thing, funding groups, doing talks on the subject. So it's one of those things where, for me, if she maybe just had said some of these things and just stopped doing the other shit, maybe it would eventually die down a little bit. But it doesn't seem like it's ever going to. And I almost feel like we're in this cycle now where something happens involving her. There is could be like a member of the community saying something, or it could be her, she does something, like I said, signs with that group, and then it's like a cycle that feeds back in on itself constantly. And I just don't know how you'll ever break out of that cycle as long as she's like a public figure. Because she doesn't seem to really want to. She wants to tamp down the controversy long enough to get her next payday. And I don't think the fans would, at this stage, be willing to forgive her for anything at any point.
She would certainly have to do. She would have to work pretty hard, I think, to even get to the point where people tolerated her rather than viewing her as an outright villain. And given everything about her, I don't anticipate that she's going to make those changes.
No, me either. And I don't think that's wrong. I don't think that's wrong to have that expectation. She certainly hasn't earned any benefit of the doubt. I just, you see these hate cycles happen, and I don't know, hearts are hardened. How can you unharden them? And one side has to do it first, and it's not going to be the side full of thousands and thousands of angry fans. So,
yeah.
I think something that's important to note about Curl is there is, in women's sports in general, a lot of transphobia, whether unchecked or active. And that's not okay. And I'm not saying it is, but Curl is also pretty vocally homophobic, which is just insane in a league with a lot of players married to each other. There are gay people in your locker room. Unfortunately, as of now, there are probably not out trans people in your locker room, but there definitely are other LGBTQ people in your locker room. And it's just really upsetting to see it welcomed. That should be disqualifying for being in this league. Genuinely, I don't think you should be hired with that public attitude.
Right off the rip, you already have one open teammate on Detroit, and probably a second once all that shenaniganery comes through with Hillary Knight. the face of American women's hockey is engaged to a woman.
I try to set these things up so that
God
they'll
damn it.
cascade into each other. Trevor goes ahead and gives it away.
I wish this was a one-time thing. If we had a jar for every time I've done this, I'm pretty sure we'd have $1 at this point.
I think it is worth noting that the Minnesota Frost had fewer gay players last season than the season before, and that the couple on the married couple, or the not married couple, but the couple on the team left intentionally. It seems the only players they had that are open were kind of fringe players like Elizabeth Shiger, who couldn't get a job anywhere else. I do think that is meaningful, right? Like, she is not, as long as Curl continues to do the things she does in terms of being transphobic and homophobic and being against the current of the fans everywhere she goes, it'll be a controversy. And we're just going to have this conversation every time she changes teams. And you have to wonder, how much goodwill did this new team burn?
A lot.
Sorry. Yeah. Yeah. And it will be interesting to see if there are impacts on the season ticket sales or on the general ticket sales. I have a suspicion there won't be a huge impact, but I do think there will be some.
I think the biggest impact that Detroit will probably see is other signings, and it'll be hard for us to see as fans, but like, I can see other players being less inclined to sign with them with her on the team.
Absolutely. And speaking of players being less inclined to sign with someone, how about San Jose? How are we feeling about their roster building decisions? So, Trevor, you made a good point earlier. We shouldn't assume a team is going to be a super team right off the bat. But what about looking at a team and thinking, oh, they're going to be bad? I think we might be able to pull that one off.
Yeah,
They have a decent goalie.
They're going to look good.
Listen, I have been a detractor of Troy Ryan many times this season. I'm starting to really think he may not be good at his job, and he's only been a general manager for a week now.
He's bad.
I don't mind the idea of going for young talent and cheap talent. That is a potentially a good look. But when 4/5 of your current roster have been on last place teams for pretty much their entire PWHL career, it's a tough look. And again, Corinne Schroeder is great. However, I don't know if it's just because of lack of defense or what, but she cannot seem to get out of the basement on her respective hockey clubs. And something tells me just maybe San Jose might be the next victim in that list.
I'm looking at the Kyle Cushman spreadsheet here, and he's helpfully noted all three of the forwards have come from the Sirens, but he's incorrectly noted that Schroeder came from the Sirens. But it kind of feels like she did. Like she was with the Sirens for a few years.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that he went out and got Rory Gilday. I think she's a good player, and she'll be a good member of their blue line. I think Corinne Schroeder was one of the better goaltenders available in expansion, and I don't know why he's paying $100,000 a year or more to Kristen O'Neill.
God,
I just don't get it.
Legitimately, out of every single one of the 20 signings we saw, what made you laugh harder than seeing Kristen O'Neill for an EFO? Because let me tell you, the answer is nothing.
I would certainly say it is one of the weirder decisions.
Again, Troy, if you liked Kristen so much, which allegedly, there was the video that apparently he cried when she got announced for the Canadian Olympic team. Why'd you only play her 5 minutes in that gold medal game, Troy? She's the only one who scored for you that game, Troy. What's going on there, Troy? I'm so mad I never tripped when I ran into him on the concourse. I'm so mad.
Kristen O'Neill, to be clear, Kristen O'Neill is 9-10-19 in her entire PWHL regular season history.
Is that what is that, like 78 games played, give or take?
83 games.
Oh, she's only missed one. Oh no.
Yeah. A career minus 22, including a minus 12 on a Montreal Victoire team that won the league. Plus minus is a flawed stat, but that's a pretty big number in a 30-game season. She wins faceoffs. That's pretty cool. And yeah, in her 7 playoffs game, she does have 3 goals and 1 assist, which is okay. But ultimately, I don't understand. Like, this is the player you're giving that much money to. Chris O'Neill, enjoy your bag. You've earned it. I'm happy for you. I hope you buy nice things. But from a team management perspective, that is fucking wild. That is the equivalent. That is the equivalent of signing Trent Frederick to a Connor McDavid deal.
Yep.
It's dumb.
We're sorry, fans in San Jose. Maybe your other signings will be good, considering it looks like you got a decent amount of cap room, but oofty.
And then, of course, the last interesting controversy from this whole week of shenanigans is the EFO, so expansion franchise offer tended to Hillary Knight by the Las Vegas team, and the report from the Associated Press that on the 16th, when trades, including draft picks, are allowed, Hillary Knight will be moved to Detroit for Detroit's first-round pick. How are we feeling about this?
I feel bad for Vegas fans, which is saying a lot because I don't like them. Not as individuals, you're fine, I'm sure, maybe. But like the team, I hate on principle. But yeah, because they're like putting out announcements about it on like their Instagram, and the comments are people trying to be like, please don't get too excited. Mm-hmm. And then people like having their hearts broken. So slightly crazy thing to drop, especially as like one of your first moves as a team.
Go ahead, Emily.
Okay. It feels so shady that there was whatever maybe agreement that she was supposed to be going with Barnes and Bilka to Detroit, but then Detroit spent their EFO on Daryl Watts, and so to get around that, they made arrangements for a trade, even though there's a trade freeze, and it feels a lot like Detroit is trying to have their cake and eat it too here, where they wanted 2 EFO players, and so they managed to game the system to make that work. And I mean, Las Vegas had to agree to it, but I don't know if Knight came in and said, hey, I have to sign this deal because, you know, that's the way these EFOs work, but also I refuse to play here. The whole thing feels very shady, and again, like, the rules don't matter.
I have a few opinions, or at least thoughts on this. Number one, Detroit's cap is going to be very interesting with how high-end that is already off the hop. That's 2 players at least 200K deals. Like, and looking at their other signings, those are not low-salary signings. The remainder of who Detroit is going to sign is going to be a lot of bottom feeders.
So one of the things to keep in mind is that Daryl Watts in the EFO got a multi-year EFO, which means she is entitled to a $20,000 bonus that is applied to the cap sheet over the next 4 years. So whatever her actual cash is, her cap it is $5,000 more.
Okay.
Yep. Number 2, I guess this is excellent asset management from Dominique Didia. In a stacked ass draft that at the absolute worst, you're going to get 2 picks from 9 to 12 and presumably between 5 to 8, because I did see some speculation online. This is something I agree with. You don't make this trade unless the GMs already know where they're going to be drafting.
I mean, I think you shouldn't make this trade unless you know, but
that also, there were reports as well that apparently Menon Realm was on record saying that she hadn't followed really any of the draft eligible players and had no idea who was really coming up. And in a draft this deep, yikes.
Yeah, wow. Love to publicly admit not knowing how to do my job.
Sometimes you should keep things to yourself.
Detroit very much, though, seems to be a win-now expansion team, where we heard this before, whereas Las Vegas is looking to the future. Which is hilarious as that I say that, considering a couple of the signings they made, but I digress. I think Las Vegas is going to be filled with young talent that are going to lead that team for the next several years because of this draft. And it's unfortunate you have to have a bit of a mar, or like a black mark, because you now have to be the one to say, hey, we signed Hillary Knight, and then immediately have to go trade her away. But I think in terms of the long-term success of Las Vegas, I like this deal a lot for them, and I think this is the better choice.
I have to agree.
So there's a few things we don't know, and the first, of course, is what exactly was agreed upon between Hillary Knight and Detroit, and what conversations, if any, did Dominic Didia and Knight have before the EFO was tendered. So as Emily correctly noted, the EFO is a binding contract. The player must sign, but they choose the length. In this case, Knight chose 1 year, which means she doesn't get the $20,000 bonus, but I think she'll be okay.
I think she'll be okay.
I think so too.
With her, she's got a few sponsorship deals. She should be able to make that money back okay. Based on my reading of the various articles, it seems that this was a situation the league was not happy with. Either because one of two things happened. Either they talked to her and said, we're going to put you on our EFO number 2. And she said, don't do that. I want to sign with Detroit. And they did it anyway. Or they didn't talk to her and they just signed her. They put her on their forced list, and boom, she's going there. And she either told Didia or the league she didn't like that and didn't want to do it, or Didia turned around and extorted Detroit immediately. So which of those is worse from a league perspective, right? One of your star players threatening to cause problem, or your new GM immediately getting cutthroat and murderous with other GMs? I tend to believe the latter is true if they knew the draft position and knew it would be a good pick. I tend to believe the former is true if they didn't know the draft position, because it is possible the league brokered this to make everyone happy. So we don't know yet. If it was anyone other than Hillary Knight, I would say almost certainly this is cutthroat GMing, and I'm all for cutthroat GMing. Danielle Sauvageau, I know you are smiling because you think this is cutthroat. I'm all for it. But I cannot rule out that this is a star player throwing a temper tantrum because she didn't like the rules her Players Association agreed with. And if that is what ends up leaking out, that is real bad for this league.
Yep.
It just makes the whole thing look a little bit more like a Mickey Mouse experience.
I wish I had a good Mickey Mouse impersonation to do right now. I don't.
Yeah.
So we're getting close to time. We've had a few good chats on this one, but I am going to... the other PWHL news that came out today is that sounds like Kim Weiss of the Colorado Eagles will be taking on the reins at PWHL Las Vegas. Long rumored,
Love that for them.
Confirmed today. So
Yeah, that's sick for them.
I think this was one of the top women coaching targets in the world, and a big coup for the league. I know we talked about coaching last week quite a lot. So this is a big coup for the league to pick up this very well-regarded assistant coach in the AHL. And I think probably will be a good step up for her as well. So good luck in Las Vegas, Kim Weiss. I think you will. Well, you're not going to have Hillary Knight, but you'll do okay with Aaron Ambrose and friends. Trevor, I know you want to do some other stuff, but we are almost at an hour.
It's all good. It's all good.
Very, very quickly, Any thoughts on the players who didn't get taken and where they might land?
I'm so bad at this. Like, the speculation of where players are going to go in any league has always been something I don't know.
You don't have to be right. You can just say things.
Well,
I suppose that is what most people do.
I am waiting for the hometown stuff to really come into effect outside of Hamilton. I'm waiting for PWHL Detroit to get a couple Michigan girls. I am going to predict right now Melissa Channel-Watkins will be the first Golden Eye to be gone, and she's going to go sign in Detroit.
Because I think it's funny. I am going to choose to believe that no Hamiltonians will sign with Hamilton, because I think it's funny that people seem to really hate their hometown of Hamilton. No offense, Hamiltonians. I just think it's funny.
You know,
it's a good,
spoken like
it's
a
a good
true
joke.
emo kid. Spoken like a true emo kid.
It's a good bit, okay?
Speaking of good bits, I'm gonna. I noticed this little divergence, little article that just popped up from the Ice Garden, from where a writer asks, "Who should the Toronto Scepters protect?" And I'm gonna read a direct quote here about what the author thinks. Quote, "If I were general manager Gina Kingsbury, I would sign and protect Blair Turnbull and Emma Malte, and I'd also sign and protect Savannah Harmon." The same Savannah Harmon who retired 2 weeks ago.
look, you don't need to know how to do your job to do your
So
job.
people
It's
can
fine.
just say things. I sound smart, actually.
As long as you don't say something like, "I think Haley Wickenheiser should come out of retirement." You're doing better than that, writer.
That is
Get paid
hilarious.
for this, damn. Holy smokes.
I mean, I don't think they
paid
get paid
much.
very much.
No, maybe not.
No,
they get paid from exposure.
No, they get paid. I know someone who wrote for them, and I think it was like $100 a month. It's not a lot of money.
Oof.
Yeah.
Still.
I would say, I think Abby Rock is staying in Montreal.
I hope so.
I think Jessie Eldridge is moving, but she's moving to a pre-existing team, not an expansion team. I wouldn't be surprised to see her in New York or Toronto or even back in Seattle. And I think that Ottawa will sign nobody during these phases, and the fan base will go apeshit.
Again.
Yeah, again.
Sounds fun.
That's my prediction.
I think Toronto is going to hire or is going to target every player over 5'8", so they can focus on that heavy physical style.
All I know, the only thing I really, because we had the list of the RFOs come out, and I saw Izzy Daniels on that list. Izzy, what are you doing? That's $80,000. You made $40,000 last year. Girl, get that bag. I kind of hope she does. I like her. I hope she doesn't re-sign back in Vancouver, because she's not going to be worth even the $70K that she might get.
I have to say it. That was a Troy Ryan one, wasn't it?
Oh, it has to be, right? People saw that she shot 17.3%. Thought, this is sustainable. She didn't shoot. She got rebounds. Again, I like her. She was great. I loved her. No. What are you doing?
Also, based on that list, I think Zumwinkle resigns with the Frost.
Oh yeah,
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That is the second most likely re-sign on that list for sure.
Yeah.
Jen Gardner, number one. If Jen Gardner does not re-sign in Vancouver, Vancouver will fire off a special, and don't question us. We've had multiple rides to practice. We know how to do this. But yeah, I don't know. I'm just waiting for the bubble to burst, because Vancouver's had it too good for too long, and I'm ready to be hurt. Just please protect Teresa Venetia. I just want her to stay. Just let my girl stay.
Well, folks, there you go. Hopefully, we'll definitely have more to talk about next week as we get to the end of this process and we start moving towards the PWHL draft. But for now, this has been the Neutral Zone Hotel, which is written, produced, and hosted by us, the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. You can find out more on our website at neutralzonehotel.com, neutralzonehotel.com/Discord if you want to join our Discord and yell at Trevor because he screwed up because the article actually says Kali Flanagan. You can also find us on Bluesky at neutralzonehotel.bsky.social or on YouTube at /neutralzonehotel. And as always, folks, we will, if you're having a great time, 5 stars, thumbs up, smash like buttons, do whatever you need to do to show your appreciation. And we will chat with you next week. Take care.
So did it get
says Kali
edited?
Flanagan.
Did it get
must have gotten
edited
edited, man.
between when you read that and when you took the screenshot? Or
If you it says Kali Flanagan, I swear to God.
Is there like a cached version that Trevor has, or
So Trevor's the one who posted the screenshot.
Trevor is also frozen.
Trevor posted the screenshot of being wrong.
incredible stuff, folks?